Hey guys, in this video we're just going to take a bit of time to talk about the diet. But when we talk about the diet, I'm not purely talking about what we take into our bodies through our food and through our drinks, so through our physical diet. I'm talking about everything that we allow into our sphere, so into our bodies physically, but into our bodies on an emotional, mental, and an energetic level as well. So everything that comes in, everything that influences us, and everything that impacts us. In our last video we talked about, we explored the body as a processor. And we came to understand that on a very physical level, the physical body is taking in everything that we put into it through breath, through what we eat, through what we smell, what we put on our skins, what we drink, what we bathe in, and that all of this stuff that's physically coming into the body is either stored for future processing or future use. It's utilized, so broken down into its useful components and actually used to perform some kind of a function or fulfill some purpose in the physical body, or it's excreted, so just the waste product that just is evacuated through the skin, through the tear ducts, through stool, through the kidneys, and everything that is excreted as waste, basically. And there's these three things that happen with everything that comes into the physical body. And what we also began to explore and to understand is that perhaps this is also happening on an energetic level. So on an emotional level and a mental level and an energetic level, that same process is occurring where things come into the body, or the bodies are run through this process and then are either utilized, stored, or excreted. And what this began to open us up to was what I want to talk about today. The importance of the diet. The importance of, I guess, caring about the things that are coming into our bodies, the things that are influencing us on all of those levels, on the physical level, but on those higher vibrational levels as well. Because everything that comes into our bodies runs through our bodies, is processed through our bodies. So everything that we think, everything that we feel, everything that we come into contact with energetically, if our boundaries are not necessarily in place and set at a place of love, then everything that we come into contact with is coming into our bodies, coming into our sphere energetically, and is then becomes our responsibility to either utilize, store, or excrete. And a lot of people place emphasis on what comes into their physical body through their physical diet. And a lot of people really pay attention to what's coming into them through their physical diet, but often don't look at what is coming into them and what they are taking in on these other levels. So this means paying particular attention to the things that we are allowing to come into contact with us and to impact us. And what I want to suggest here today is that the best way that we can manage this, the best way that we can manage the health of our four-body system is ensuring that everything that comes into our bodies is about love. And I call this the love diet. So not just a physical diet, but an energetic, emotional, mental, psychological diet that is about making sure that everything that we consume on all of these levels is about love. And so here we can kind of talk about and unpack what is love, what would be considered love. I love eating chocolate, so does that mean that chocolate is involved in my love diet? Well, perhaps to a certain degree, but that's not about the love diet. Having a love diet or a diet that is about love doesn't mean just taking in all of the things that the ego self, so the very human nature self, loves or enjoys, because that is most of the time going to be things that don't necessarily serve us. What we're aligning to here is a different kind of love. And this kind of love is not about immediate self-gratification. It's not about feeling good for a certain period of time without consideration for what's going to happen beyond that moment. It's not about this kind of selfish desire to just satisfy and gratify all needs and all wants and all desires on that very basic human level. The love diet and love itself, we've spoken about this in previous videos as well, but love itself is a healing force. Love is a force that serves and encourages evolution. Love supports health. Love is nourishing. Love is challenging. Love challenges crap. Love challenges things that aren't true. Love challenges us to be better and to do better and to grow and to explore and to ponder and to unpack things and to discover new things. And love is ever moving, it's ever changing and ever encouraging us to change, ever encouraging us to evolve. So love by nature is about doing the things and supporting the self and others and everything that we come into contact with to be the best versions of themselves. So love on that very physical level, so through the physical diet, if you're having a love physical diet and the food that you put into your mouth, it would mean that everything that you're consuming on that physical level is with the intention of supporting the body and allowing the physical body to be the best version of itself that it can be. Allowing the physical body to express in the best way that it can possibly express. It's love. Love is health inducing and health encouraging. But the love, it's not cramping down, because a lot of people think that they're doing a physical love diet, but what they're actually doing is they're judging. They're judging their body's needs. They're judging the body's wants. They're judging the body's cravings. They're judging this pocket of fat and this zit up here and this bit that doesn't look okay, so I'm going to make sure I eat lots and lots of spinach, and then I cut out all fat and I cut out all carbs and never have anything sweet because I want my body to be a certain way. And they're kind of punishing their bodies to perform and to present and to be experienced in a certain way. And that's not necessarily love motivated. A lot of the time, again, that kind of motivation and that drive to do the right thing is actually about judging. It's actually about judgment. It's about trying to be somewhere that you're currently not and forcing the body to be somewhere that it is currently not, and kind of overriding with no real consideration for what the body actually requires. We've got a lot of fad diets, and people really like to pick up on these fad diets and just apply them to themselves without considering, is this actually what works best for my body? Is that actually going to support my body? The way that my body processes foods and the requirements that my body has, does this apply? Is this going to support this? Is this going to be health inducing? Is this going to be love inducing? Is this actually going to help me to perform at my best and help my body to feel its best and to experience its highest possible state of health? And it seems simple, but it's a fundamental switch, and I see it in people when they start approaching their physical diet from a place of self-love, from a place of, I love this body and I want to take care of this body, so I want to champion this body and help this body to be the best that it can be. And based on that, I'm going to select the foods that my body, once the negative habits have been removed, is telling me that it requires. Then suddenly things really change. A lot of the cravings that were perhaps not inducive with health when you're in that judgment mode disappear. The body begins to cooperate with you. It begins to work with you. It begins to communicate with you. It begins to give you messages and ideas about, okay, in this moment we're under a lot of stress. We could really do with some extra protein. Or, like we're really stuffed up and a bit blocked in here and need a bit of a clearing out? Can we just do a little bit of an intermittent fast today and maybe push lunch till much later on in the afternoon? And the body will begin to send you these messages. I need lots of water today. Oh, it would be nice if we could have a little bit of a treat today because we haven't had one for a while. Not from a place of bad habit, but from a place of, well, maybe that is the most loving thing to do for the body that day. And things begin to flow differently, and people's relationship that they have with themselves changes. Their relationship with themselves, instead of being one that focuses on the negatives and focuses on the things that aren't right, instead focuses on how do we make the most out of this. And they begin to have a loving, communicative relationship with themselves, where they begin to explore and understand themselves and unpack things and heal things and actually move through things. And it's a really fundamental and basic but so life-changing shift when you can come out of that place of judgment and instead come into a place of, okay, this is the body that I've got. How do we work together? And then actually spend the time exploring that, because that's different for everyone. Everyone's bodies function differently. And there are certain categories that you can put bodies in. And some people like to go by Ayurvedic medicine and the 3 doshas. Some people like to go by their blood type. Some people go by what their parents did or what they see someone else is doing. And there are different ways to categorize a body. Or I've got an athletic body, or I've got a bit of a pudgier, slower body, and so I'm going to work with it in this way. And that's helpful. That can be useful, but just as a way of exploring what actually works for your body, until you can begin to understand on that really unique individual level what the body actually requires. And then you begin listening to that. What does the body actually need? And that would be a love diet. Because if you start listening to those foods and those drinks and those things that your body on its individual level and its unique expression requires, then you're going to be putting in foods and drinks and nutrients that suit your body and allow your body to thrive and allow your body to evolve and to grow and to develop and explore new capabilities, new possibilities, skills that you didn't know that you had, strengths that you didn't know that you had, but to also overcome weaknesses. Because that diet is focused on love. And its aim, its goal is to love this body and to nourish this body and to raise this body up. And that makes a huge difference. But if we're going to be doing that and we're going to allow ourselves to love ourselves in that way through what we're physically putting into our bodies, we need to look at what else is making it into our bodies on that physical level. What chemicals are going on the skin? What chemicals are going into the hair and being absorbed through the skin? What's going on our face and again being absorbed through our skin? What are we putting on our bodies? What kind of fibers are in the clothes that we're wearing? What's rubbing against our skin? What are we encasing ourselves in physically? And is that about love? Does that raise us up? Does that help our body to function to the best of its ability, rather than does this make me look as good as I can possibly look? How is it from that self-loving perspective? Is that self-loving? How does that feel? Does your body flourish? Does your body feel nourished? Does your body feel supported by what you're wearing? What's on your skin? What kind of clothes you've got on? What's on your feet? How are you looking after your hair? Is that conducive with you evolving and being the best expression of yourself that you can be? And then we expand that out, and that's part of the love diet. We expand that out even further and start to look at what kinds of things are you engaging with? How often are you tied to a screen and engaging with electromagnetic frequencies that are perhaps not helpful or not healthy? What kinds of things are you watching? What are you watching on the television? How much television are you watching? And is that growthful? Is that conducive with you being the healthiest version of you that you can be? Because everything that we see, everything that comes in through our five senses is impacting us. It's leaving a mark on us. Our brain is storing it away, and it's psychologically, emotionally, mentally having an impact on us. So what are you watching? What are you seeing with your eyes? What are you touching with your hands? What kinds of smells are around you? Are they chemical smells? Are they natural smells? Are they things that help you to be the best that you can be? What kind of sounds are you hearing? What kind of music are you listening to? How often are you just listening to heavy traffic and cars honking on their way past? How often are you listening to the neighbors screaming, or cats meowing, or cats purring, or babies crying, whatever it is? And is it about love? Is it feeding you? Is it nourishing you in a loving way? And you can't get rid of everything. You can't tell a baby to stop crying, and you can't never be in traffic, but it's about exposing yourself to things that are about love as much as possible, and things that are going to love you and let you love you and help you to be the best that you can be as often as possible. And when we can't avoid certain things, and we have to be around certain things and interact with certain things, then how do we make that the most loving experience that it can possibly be? And oftentimes that's just about removing the judgment. How do I stop judging the fact that I have to spend all of this time in front of the computer screen, and instead find ways for it to be less harmful and a little bit more about love? Can I look away from the screen every 20 minutes for 30 seconds? Can I put a blue light dimmer on the screen? Can I make sure that I'm listening to nature sounds, or that I have a window that I can look out of, or that I've got fresh breeze on my face, or that I'm wearing really comfy clothes made of natural fibers that make me feel really good? And we just look at ways to make the most of the situations that we find ourselves in. Where we can, we tweak and we change things, and we just do what would be most self-loving. But where we can't change things, we do what we can to make it as a loving experience as possible. And you're just going to have to look at how you can do that. And then looking at the kinds of things that you're reading. What are you exposing yourself to? What kind of books are you reading? What kind of news are you engaging with? And how can you bring maybe a healthier attitude to the news, more self-love when you're reading the news, so it's not so shocking and it's not so degrading and it's not so crippling? And how can you keep your mind open to make sure that you're not just taking on the opinions of others, but that you're actually considering things for yourself and exploring things and developing compassion and understanding for things that are happening in the world? And how can you contribute your love to these events so that maybe there's a little bit more hope, or something can be done in a little bit of a different way? And looking at the kinds of stories that you're reading. Are they uplifting? Do they nurture you? Do they help you to grow? Do they help you to explore and to understand things that you didn't understand before? Do they enrich your mind? Do they enrich your soul? Do they enrich your emotional experience? Or are you just zoning out in la-la stories that don't impact you in any kind of way, that were perhaps written for a 7-year-old? Unless you're reading to a 7-year-old, then that's very appropriate. But just considering all of these things, what are you engaging with? How are you spending your time? And is it something that uplifts you? How often are you considering what would uplift you? And how often are you actively seeking out and engaging in the things that are about self-love, are about self-nurture? And then how often are you engaging with things that are about you bringing your love to other people and rising other people up and helping other people to explore and grow and develop and be the best versions of themselves that they can be, not by ramming your ideas down their throats and into their ears, but by perhaps providing them with a space, where they can throw a few ideas around and they can begin to explore things and understand things, because again, their expression is going to be unique and very different to yours. And then you've got to start looking at what kinds of environments are you in. Are you spending time in environments that are about self-love and that are going to raise you up? Because again, what's happening in our environment is impacting us. It is being processed through our bodies, and it is leaving a mark as it's being processed through our bodies. Our understanding of our environment. Are you spending a lot of time in really harsh environments where there's lots of really loud noise and lots of angry people or emotional people or fiery people, and are you able to spend time on your own in quiet or in nature, reconnecting with the land, connecting with people who you love and who love you? How often are you spending time walking the highway? How much time are you spending sitting in the car getting angry and fuming about what's going on? How much time are you spending in crowded shopping centres? How much time are you spending with the kids or with the niece or the nephew or with family members or friends who love you? How often are you spending time barefoot in the park, looking at the sky, looking at the trees, listening to the birds? What kinds of environments are you finding yourself in? And how can you be tweaking that physical environmental experience to make sure that you're engaging with environments that are uplifting you and are encouraging you to be the best that you can as much as you can? And again, you can't avoid all this stuff. So then how do you help these situations and these environments that you find yourself in to be as uplifting as possible and to be as much about love as is possible and about raising you up? And these are all the things that we need to start considering when we're looking at the love diet. Is everything that you're interacting with and that you're allowing into your system about love? Is it about raising you up? How much time are you spending sleeping? Because again, there's a lot of input in the sleep state that's necessary for growth and for healing and for the body to go into its transformational processes. Are you spending enough time sleeping? Are you spending too much sleeping? When you are sleeping, what kind of environment are you in? Because that's going to be impacting you in the sleep state. Is there a big TV screen on with blaring lights and blaring noise while you're sleeping? Is there a rattly train that's going past every 5 minutes? And is there something that you could do to block that noise out so that it's not impacting you and it's not impacting your ability to sleep? Are you sleeping in a room with hostile people that perhaps don't have your best intention at heart? Because that's going to be affecting you as well. And just, again, going deeper with this stuff and looking at what we're doing, the people that we're choosing to spend our time with. Are they interested and supportive of us being the best that we can be? Do they want to love us? Do they want to raise us up? Are they encouraging us to explore ourselves and to develop and to grow and to mature and to understand ourselves? Or do they want a lot from us all of the time? Are they stifling us? Are they keeping us small? Are they very selfish people that won't let us spend time with other people? Are they degrading? Are they corrosive? Are they abusive? And being really honest about this stuff and loving the self enough to do what we can to change our circumstances and to alter the people in our lives, the things that we're interacting with. And how are we bringing ourselves to all of these experiences? Because this love diet goes two ways. We look at everything that comes into us, everything that we engage with, everything that we interact with, and we purify and we cleanse as much as we can so that as much as possible what is coming into our system is about love. Because that's where we're going to thrive. That's where we're going to be able to explore ourselves and grow into the best versions of ourselves. That's where we're going to understand ourselves. That's where we're going to learn how to love ourselves and take care of ourselves and break free of all of the oppression and the things that degrade us and want to drag us down and move into something new. But we've also got to look at what we're bringing to all of that. Because if we're expecting everyone and everything in our lives to support us and love us and raise us up, but we're grumpy and selfish and don't do anything to raise anyone else up because we feel entitled and selfish and like the world owes it to us, then we're just taking. We are being selfish. We are just taking. We're sucking good energy from our environment and from the people around us, and we're squirting our bad stuff out all over the place and expecting other people and other environments and nature and the other people on that train and the other people in the traffic to deal with our feelings and to deal with our bad stuff that we don't want to deal with. And a lot of people do that. They don't know how to handle what's going on for them, and they feel bad, so they energetically draw close to people that feel good or make them feel good, and they take from those people. They energetically, they extract love and goodness from those people and then squirt their stuff out all over the place and expect other people to take care of it. And I'm sure all of you are going to know at least one person like that, and hopefully it's not you, but you want to make sure that you're not that person, and that you're not just taking from your environment, but that you're actually contributing and you're actually giving back. So if you're laying on the grass and you can feel nature holding you and loving you and supporting you and feeding nice electromagnetic frequencies into your energy field, what are you doing about that? Are you just going, oh, thanks, Mother Nature, that feels real good. Here, take all my bad feelings, take all my depression, take all of my anger, and you just deal with it because I don't want to deal with it? Or are we going, oh, thanks, that feels good, that feels nourishing. I'm going to use this energy in my system. I'm going to use this love and bring it into contact with the negative things inside of me, and I'm going to process them, and I'm going to transmute them and transform them internally, and then I'm going to feed love back into the planet as a way of expressing my gratitude and giving something back to this nature that is supporting me in this moment, and make this a bit of a love exchange. Which person are you? Are you giving back, or are you just taking? Or are you that person that is entering into these environments and not allowing themselves to be uplifted? Are you constantly putting yourself in negative environments and in the company of people that can't support you and that will not raise you up, and then just feeding your energy to them? Does the room feel better when you've left, and you feel worse when you've left because you've just walked in there and gone, here's all of my love and all of the goodness and everything that I've got, everyone take it, planet take it, just have as much of it as you want, and then you leave depleted and exhausted? If that's you, you need to watch my video on boundaries, because that's not self-loving. That's self-depleting, and you're going to very quickly degrade into a state of dis-ease. I know I used to be that person, and I did. I degraded into a state of dis-ease, and I had to learn how to have boundaries and how to seek out and not feel selfish for being in situations and wanting to be surrounded by people who actually loved me and wanted to raise me up and wanted me to be the best version of myself that I could be. I had to learn how to be okay with that, because I believed that for me to be worthy and for people to want me to be around, I just had to be giving of myself constantly, and I didn't understand that I could love myself, and I didn't understand how to love myself, and it was a big journey coming back from that and learning those things and installing those things. But I'm telling you, my whole experience, my entire experience of health on all levels, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, energetically, on all levels, psychologically, my health experience has improved. But it wasn't about becoming a hoarder. It wasn't about swinging out the other way and going, well, I've spent so long giving my energy away to everyone, so now everyone give me all of your energy and I'm just going to take it and use it up. It's not about that either. It's about finding a middle ground where I loved myself and I respected myself enough to make sure that I was monitoring everything that was coming into my system and making sure that it was about love, that people weren't dumping on me, that environments that I was walking into also weren't dumping on me and weren't pulling on me unnecessarily, and making sure those boundaries were really firmly in place, but then also making sure that I was giving the best of myself where it was appropriate. And if your boundaries are set appropriately, then when someone is deserving of love or of energy or of input from you, it will very naturally flow, but it's not just going to flow out and then stop. That's where you begin to be able to be in an exchange with life. And not just I'm going to be in an exchange with anything and everything, and anyone who wants a piece of me can come and be in an energetic exchange with me, because that's crazy. You don't know who's going to walk in there and start energetically dumping on you or energetically taking from you. It's about being wise and being discerning and being about love. And if you have self-love, that's going to come so much more naturally. Is this actually about love? Is this going to raise me up? Is this actually going to raise the other person up? Is this an exchange that really I should be involved in? Or is this just them wanting something from me? Is this me wanting something from them? Is this an environment that is conducive with raising me up? Or am I seeking out ways to numb out how I'm feeling, or avoid how I'm feeling, or mentally escape from something that is bothering me? And am I giving something when I am receiving something in return? And it's not about bleeding yourself dry so that you can give something wherever you feel that something is deserving. It's just about being open to life. It's a dance that happens when you're about self-love, and your environments and the things that you're engaging with are about love. So they'll be about self-love, but about love as a general thing. Then you'll be able to begin to be in an exchange with life where you're never depleted, and you're never exhausted, and you're never bleeding yourself dry, and you're never in situations where you're allowing people to take advantage of you or to dump on you, and you're never in a situation where you want to take advantage of other people or you want to dump on other people, because you're about love, and you're about taking in love. So you're taking in love, you're taking in life, you're taking in the environments that you're in, you're taking in food, you're taking in drink, and then through your body, which is a processor, you're raising the vibration of everything that you come into contact with and turning it into even more love, which then begins to overflow. It's not like you consciously think, I'm going to put some love into you. You're so full of love. You're full of self-love. You're full of nurture. You're full of health. You're full of vitality. And it just naturally begins to bubble over and move into the ones and the places that are deserving, that kind of match the frequency of that energy that is pouring over, that energy that is in excess. And that's a much more peaceful and graceful way of interacting with life. But it starts with us loving ourselves enough to start monitoring our diet to make sure or ensure as much as possible that everything that we come into contact with and that we are allowing into us on a mental level, an emotional level, a physical level, an environmental level, an energetic level, a psychological level is actually about love, which means it's about raising us up. It's about healing, it's about evolving, it's about discovering, it's about moving into new and more highly evolved states of being. This is the same with conversation. What kind of conversation are you engaging in? Is it gossip? Is it idle chit-chat about stuff that's actually degrading? Are you bad-mouthing people? Are you talking behind someone's back? What kinds of conversations are you having? Because that's going to have an impact on you as well. That's going to very quickly lower your vibration and is much more likely to bring you into a state of dis-ease. Or are you having healthy, fruitful conversation that's actually productive and is about exploring things and challenging your intellect and sharing intellect and wisdom and actually developing and growing something that is going to be useful and conducive with you being in a state of health? What's happening on a mental level? What kinds of thoughts are you engaging in? What of other people's thoughts are you allowing in to impact you? Because thoughts are like energetic forms that you collide with everywhere that you go. Are you keeping your own mind clear? Are you setting boundaries on a mental level so that you're not just picking up on other people's parasitic thoughts? And are you only open to thoughts and thinking and mental capacity and function that is actually about love, which is again about evolving and growing and developing and new ideas, new ways of seeing life, new ways of interacting with life. And these are all things that are part of the love diet. So you're going to have to get to know yourself on all these different levels and begin to pay attention on all these different levels. What are you allowing in physically? Is it about love? What are you allowing in emotionally? Are people dumping other people's negative emotions? And for anyone who's an empath or who's a bit sensitive, you probably know you can walk into a room where there's a really angry person and you can feel it. You can really feel it, and it can affect you, and it can cause you to become angry and you to become fiery, and then you end up blowing up and dumping it on someone else later on. So again, are your boundaries in place? And it doesn't mean that you avoid everyone that has bad feelings. It's about finding a way to love yourself enough so that even when you're in interaction with these people, you're not just taking it on as your own. Again, watch the boundaries video. It's being able to be in contact with people and loving yourself enough that you can be with them and you can be compassionate and you can be present with them, not sympathetic, empathetic and compassionate, where you can understand what they're going through, but you're not taking it on as your reality. And instead of, oh, let me take that pain so I can feel it for you, it's, that's your experience and you need to have that experience, but how can I best love you and support you so that you can get the most out of that experience and you can go through what you need to go through. Not just taking on their stuff and processing it out for them, but holding a nice space where you're still with you and your first priority is self-love. But from that space of self-love, your love is able to kind of very naturally ooze over and help them to be in a space that's going to allow them to go through their healing journey, through their healing crisis, through their emotional crisis, through their mental crisis, their physical crisis, without it draining you, without it ripping you apart, without it dragging you down for days at a time. And then what are you doing on a mental level? What are you allowing in? What are you engaging in? Is it about love? Is it about self-growth? Is it about self-development? Is it about loving other people? Is it about raising other people up? Or is it just indulging in something that is actually going to harm you on that mental level or that psychological level, or going to cause you to regress? And you got to consider all of these things, and the environments that you're in, the people you're engaging with, the sounds, the smells, the things that you're seeing, the things you're reading, the amount of television you're watching, how's your sleep, and start looking at all these different parts of your life. How's your physical diet? Are you drinking enough water? What's the motivation? And start consciously turning things around and working with things so that they become about love. And you can work with someone to do that. You can work with people on these various levels to look at that. How can I explore what my body requires and find the physical diet that is going to be most nurturing for me? How can I explore myself on a psychological level, perhaps with a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and understand myself there and learn how to have boundaries, and how can I develop mental clarity and emotional boundaries, and you can get support to explore this stuff. But starting with you, you can start with you. You can start with you making a commitment to actually love yourself and to be there for and with yourself. And from that space, just consciously, it's like applying consciousness to everything that you do, and scan, check, begin to pay attention. Is this about letting more love in? Is this about sharing love? Is this a diet of love? Or is this a diet of fear? And is there something that I can change? Can I change this thing that I'm doing? Maybe I don't have to come here anymore, or maybe it's time to let go of some old friends that you don't have anything, you can't really relate with anymore. Is it time to enroll in some educational course that's going to allow you to develop yourself mentally? Is it about developing on an emotional level? Is there something that you can do to change the circumstances, to make it more about love? Or can you just bring yourself to these situations, to these people, to these environments, to these experiences that you're having in a different way, so that it is more about love? It may not necessarily be 100% love, because we can't all stay out of the smog of the city and never hear a car honk again and never be near an angry person. You can't change those things. All you can do is approach them differently, and as much as you can, bring love and be fed love by the experiences that you're having. And that could be an interesting thing for everyone to start exploring and start unpacking. Start looking at this love diet. And is that currently a motivation for you? How motivated are you by love, by change, by evolution, by discovery? How motivated are you by self-love? Or are you motivated by playing small and loving other people but never loving yourself? Are you motivated by selfishness? Are you motivated by arrogance or greed or disgust or avoidance? And start unpacking that stuff and look at how you can tweak that and how you can turn that around, and start contemplating the possibility that maybe you can actually love yourself. Maybe you can actually be loved, and maybe you are worthy, maybe you are deserving of self-love. Because no one else is going to do it for you. And too many of us look and wait for someone else to do it for us. Tell me that I'm worthy. Tell me that I'm lovable. Do you love me? Will you keep loving me? Or are you going to leave me? And it just ties us up in knots and keeps us stuck. No one is going to be consistent except for you. No one is always going to be there or always be able to guarantee that they're always going to be able to love you, except for you, if you're willing to make that commitment to yourself. No one's going to always champion you and always be there to encourage you. Only you can do that, because you're always there. You're not going anywhere. So you can be your own champion. You're allowed to love yourself. And in fact, you really should. And no one teaches us that. We're not taught that we're allowed to love ourselves. So start exploring that and see what's in there, and see if you can start turning that around, and then start looking at the things that are feeding you on all these different levels, and as much as you can, make that input about love. Start applying the love diet